Northfield regular council meeting of August 28th, 2017. Can I rise for the pledge?
Third.
23rd. Someone put the 28th on my agenda.
It does say August 27th.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tiffany will be written up tomorrow.
Oh my, is right.
Can I make a motion to buy her a desk calendar?
Yes.
Mayor Niehes,
Here.
Mr. Magistrelli,
Here.
Ms. Domzalski. Here. Mr. Hips,
Here.
Ms. Noack. Here. Mr. Vojtish,
Here.
Mr. Bryan.
Here.
Mr. Wasowski will be at the next regularly scheduled meeting. So will Sergeant Zolgis, Chief Buss.
Here.
Mr. Walters,
Here.
and I am present.
Okay, before we get started today, I'm sure you've all noticed that I took a piece of legislation off of the agenda tonight. It was my decision to put it on and my decision to take it off. The reasoning being is that I know there's some more discussion the council wants to have. I had some discussion with Mr. Hips about this, and I decided that it would be fair for me to put this into a public work session before we voted. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that has anything for us tonight? It's your last chance. Hearing none, moving on. Okay, the reports of municipal officers. Keisha is in the audience tonight. I am looking at putting him on. We have a few snafus going on right now with the Board of Elections, but he's the only one that is going to appear on the ballot as of right now. So in the future here, we could be looking at Keisha as our council person. Okay, can we approve the minutes?
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular August 9th, 2017 council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. Any questions, comments, or amendments? All in favor of approval?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? The minutes are approved, Mayor.
Okay, reports of municipal officers. The mayor pretty much did his report. Sorry about that, I went out of order. Finance Director, Tricia.
No report.
Engineer will be at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Law Director, Mr. Bryan. Okay, good, because I don't think your microphone wanted you talking it anyways. Okay, moving on to department heads. Officer in charge, Sergeant John Zolgis, will be at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Fire Chief Jason Buss, I know you have quite a list there to tell us tonight.
Not quite a list, but, first thing, our fire engine, I'm hopeful will be done and back in service Friday. The manufacturer sent Finley Fire where it's getting repaired some wrong parts that.
Jason, can you talk closer? They can't hear out there.
Can
Thank
you
you.
hear me?
Can't hear you at all. Don't hear my phone.
Is it plugged in?
Hello?
No.
It doesn't want you to talk.
It doesn't want you to talk
Yeah, use
either. Moving on.
Tricia's.
No, it's joking.
How about now?
That's great.
Hear me now?
Okay, so our fire truck, I'm hoping will be repaired by the end of the week. There was some wrong parts sent from the manufacturer in Wisconsin, and that delayed it a little bit more. But they are all sitting in their warehouse as of this afternoon. I was there. I'm hoping they will be put on tomorrow. When it gets back, it may not have all its striping back on, but that will get done as soon as the graphics company can come out. They'll come to the fire station and do it. It's no reason to keep it out of service with just having some lettering missing. So hopefully that will be done by the end of the week. We did have another meeting with Bowen that the mayor, Officer Zolgis, and myself were in. They brought some conceptual ideas of the buildings, conceptual layouts on what would fit on this property, the property next door, of the old bank building and the fire station. We probably met for 2.5 hours, discussed what would work. I believe Sergeant Zolgis from the police department and the mayor were very happy with a lot of the ideas they presented for City Hall and for the police department. They presented ideas for the fire station that I thought would meet the needs we have there. It didn't break it down into exactly what every space
Jason, just so council knows, when we get everything finalized, we'll then bring it to council and look for their recommendations
Yeah,
and
and so-
things like that.
So the next meeting, we're gonna have another one in 3 to 4 weeks where they will have cost estimated what these different projects could cost. Be more detailed drawings. I have a basic drawing of some of the options if people wanna look at it, the road they're going down. These are no way confirmed or final. They're just ideas on spaces that would work that I can leave. After our meeting in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, I wanna set up a date. I would like the meeting October 25th, maybe before the council meeting, maybe at 7, work session where they could come in, do a presentation of everything we've went through, discuss the process and discuss where it would go from there as far as, here are some conceptual ideas, here are conceptual costs, what do we want to look at next? And so all council can get up to speed on what we've done. And they would lead that meeting and discuss it. I know Alan had some questions for me today that I couldn't answer. And they would be the ones to answer a lot of questions. I think it'd be more appropriate to do that before the regular meeting, so we're not taking up the meeting times. So I don't know how the calendar works, but October 25th is the date I told them maybe to aim for. So,
Right, so I think we just need to schedule around the finance meeting. But
Is half an hour enough time?
I don't know, it's a lot to go over.
there's a lot to go over. I told them to give us maybe 5 minutes how we got to that point, and then they would get into detail, but I'm sure questions.
I mean, we're talking about 3 buildings, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot.
So it's up to you guys. An hour, I think, you could get a lot in.
We're gonna need Tricia there too, so we can know what we can do and what we can't, and what she would feel the best way to go about with financing if we can.
Yeah, and this would just be the first time you're sitting down as all council seeing this. I mean, there can be more. Our goal was to have this to you by end of September, October, of an idea of what these things would cost, what we could do, and I think we're on that time frame. If we are planning on doing anything for the 2018 year, having something to you guys in October would be important for budgeting. And we were talking that there's ways it could be phased in over 2 or 3 years. There was a lot of things discussed and how it could work. So.
Yeah, I know 18, we have a really big project coming up, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. But I think we're getting close to the point where we need to get you guys all on board and what's going on, have an idea what everyone's looking at. So that's kind of where we stand with that. They've all been very productive meetings, a lot of great ideas. I think the mayor saw a lot of things that would really make the city hall and the community center a real focal point of the village and be a real nice space. So it's pretty exciting stuff to go through and look at. And then I have 2 other things, but they're for the fire association. I don't know if I should wait to announcements or if you just want me to do them now.
Go for it.
The firemen are doing their annual MDA collections on September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. They've done this several years. They did not do it last year because they could not get the traffic signs from ODOT. So they didn't have the proper stuff to work on Route 8, so they had to cancel it. They've done it before and been very successful.
Will they be at Maple Avenue again? Is that where they're gonna be at the light?
Yes.
Okay,
If on the back of the one paper from the association, they have a little drawing of how they're gonna set it up. It's the same plan they've done in the past. They wanted me to mention that will be going on that weekend. And then Renell reminded me, September 23rd is the village's clam bake, the fireman's clam bake. over at scoreboards, and there's always real good participation in the community, so I'm putting it out there. September 23rd is the clam bake for the Firemen's Association.
Jason, are you doing shirts this year?
Yes, I am, and we're working on a few designs right now.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Service Building Superintendent, Mr. Walters.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Council. I turned in my report.
Did you notice it's working for him?
He took the whole thing apart.
Fire hydrant restoration is complete. The sandblasting went well. We didn't have to sandblast as many as we thought. All the new replaced fire hydrants we went ahead and painted, and then the ones that needed it, we just had a crew right behind them priming and then going ahead and painting. We did get pretty good response from the public. I think everybody likes them, so, but it is complete. The flagpoles that we had talked about, we did add one at Houghton, and the ledge one is complete. Lawn maintenance, as far as the vacant properties, we keep growing. Last month 32, this month we're at 36 properties that we are maintaining. Potholes, hopefully the presidential is where the majority are, and obviously we are addressing that with the project. But still, if you have anybody in complaint or anything that hasn't been addressed, please let me know.
And again, if any council person, I really suggest that everyone drive back there to see what's going on in case you get any calls, questions, or concerns. I think it would be great if we had everyone on the same page up here on council, just in case you got those calls, you know. Hey, what curb's being replaced? You know, you'll know to look for the white markings and things of that nature. So definitely get out there and see what's going on.
Okay, the sewer maintenance, since the July meeting, sewer concerns with the residential properties have increased. We have addressed these concerns. I do have one still going on in Kennedy. We're hoping to get that completed by Friday. It's been a little hard with the sewer project that's going on, and on top of that, the East Ohio Gas Company is lowering, moving basically the gas connections out of the way for the storm project. So it's kind of two projects going on there. I did get some complaints from residents as far as the way they've been addressed with the people that are maintaining traffic. That project is through East Ohio Gas, kind of not within the village as far as our project. They have contracted area-wide protective, and I've gotten complaints that area-wide protective are kind of addressing our residents and such, you know, people coming through, and not such a, you know, cordial fashion. So I did discuss this with them today, and then 2 hours later, the other person had the same type of attitude. So I'm going to go down there with the police department tomorrow, being that, you know, as far as traffic control, that really falls under the police department. So we'll kind of address it together. I'll probably go down with Lieutenant Mackey and we'll address that. So if you are getting complaints from, you know, the residents, you know, let me know that as well. But also at the same time, we are addressing that. I don't know the exact, it's just I think they're being a little bit rude maybe when they have to stop somebody or explain what's going on. So, because the road's not supposed to be closed, but there is moments you'll have to wait until we clear the road. So, you know, I don't know if at times that, you know, people coming through are getting a little anxious or what, but we are addressing that issue. The Magnolia Curb project, we know it's done, but the contractor fertilized, but now he's going to start there's areas that obviously the grass isn't coming up, so they're addressing that over the next few weeks. Ledge Road, we had that complaint of the Ledge Road on the middle lane being up too close to Route 8, people making turn, or if there's a truck comes by. We did move that bar. Every time I've watched, it seems that people are stopping at the new bar. I think that's helping. So if I think it was Nick that got the initial complaint, make sure that the person that made the complaint knows that we did move it back if he hasn't already seen. Point of sale inspections to date, we've done 54. 34 of those have been sold. Property violations, we currently have 35 violations pending. Presidential Road project, it started on August 14th with the gutter lane grinding. That went well. It held together better as far as the curb standing and keeping it, rigid enough that we can continue the project. The areas that are really bad, we did mark out. We'll replace that curbing. And then once we get to where we can do a complete reconstruction of the project or of the presidentials, we'll then tear everything out. Explaining to the residents exactly what's going on is key. And if you don't know that, I would ask that you give them my number, or even schedule us to. I'll go with you to talk with them, so we can really explain to them. I know I've talked to a few residents and what they read or what they've seen, and actually once you explain what's going on, especially after the side was grinded out, the curb lanes were grinded out, they can visualize it a little easier. It will be a good looking project when it's finished, and it'll give us a good road until we can completely reconstruct that development. The road crack filling is set. It's the week of September 5th, which day after Labor Day, we're supposed to get the crack fill machine and the material. At that same day is when we're scheduled to start the paving process of the presidential. So obviously we won't be there crack filling, but a lot of things will be going on through that week. And that concludes my report.
Mr. Walters,
Yes.
well, how will we notify where you're gonna start your crack filling at? Are we gonna start on the north end of town, east end? Sometimes when these, some people will be preparing their curb for you, so I know you're gonna burn most of the stuff out. I mean, it happens. This is the questions I'm getting now.
So
Can
Philly
we-
Rain is going to prepare the curb for me.
Well,
is it?
I mean, as far as, how some of the weeds are growing up and they don't know whether to take them out or to try to make your job a little bit easier. And they just want to know where you're going to start, or if there's anything else they need to do to help you get prepared.
I honestly have not talked with our guys as far as where we're going to start yet. I can get back to you on that. We have roads scattered as far as where and what. Obviously, our newest roads are what we want to get done, and we're going to go as long as the material lasts for what we budgeted. Philly Lane's obviously one of those roads that will be done, and I know the residents there are a little more involved with that than some of the others, but I can get back to you and let you know when we'll be reaching that point.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Reports of municipal boards and commissions. Planning Commission, Mr. Hips.
This is kind of the overall council and planning commission combo for the overlay district meeting. September 13th at 6 o'clock. That's before our council meeting. Just a reminder for everybody to get it on their calendar. Again, it's voluntary, so it's not required. But full participation is appreciated, and I hope we can keep everybody abreast of what's going on and move along together.
Alan, do you kind of want to just explain to the audience what we're kind of looking at right now?
Well, right now we've hired a professional planning kind of code official to come in and evaluate our current zoning conditions and our current land use. We as council and planning commission had a combined meeting where we discussed kind of our vision for for where we would like to see things go in the village, kind of the redevelopment direction, and then we're to be looking for things that we like about our community and things that we don't like about the current condition, and then find ideas from other communities of things that we like and don't like that we can kind of model our community after, so that if redevelopment or new development occurs in the village, that it conforms to a better plan, a more overall concise plan, and then provides incentive for redevelopment of some of our older properties that are currently developed or underdeveloped, to allow them to be able to move forward with kind of rehabbing that property or revitalizing. So it's in its infancy right now, but we should move pretty quickly towards a revised either wholesale zoning change or the creation of an overlay district, whichever is prescribed, and we'll have more open forum for residents' input once we get things a little more settled on our end.
Thank you, Mr. Hips. Okay, moving on to recreation. We did have our movie in the park. We had about 46 to 50 people there, which I think was a good turnout for our first time doing this. I think we're going to keep it going. We're definitely going to ramp it up for next year. We're going to talk at our next meeting, though, about how we can improve, changes we can make, things that we saw that worked, things that we saw that didn't work, things that we can add. So the first meeting, and I never have this prepared, I'm sorry, September 7th at 6:30 here in Town Hall. Okay, Cemetery Board, Mrs. Greenlee is not present. Mr. Magistrelli, Council President, do you have anything from Mrs. Greenlee?
No report today.
Okay, moving on, reports of the standing committees. Mr. Magistrelli of Finance.
Excuse me. We had a regular scheduled meeting this evening, and everything went fine. Council, please let everyone know in the audience we're moving forward in a very good financial way. I want to thank Mrs. Ingracia for having everything prepared, and I want to thank my committee for just being here and watching this thing develop. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, Roads and Public Works. Does anyone on that committee have anything to share?
We had a meeting with Rich Wasowski to kind of discuss the 25-year rain that we had a few weeks ago that caused some localized flooding in the village, and looked at ways that we can go about kind of helping that or mitigating, and what we can do to kind of better the situation. So we're working on some details and some plans for that.
Actually, I think Jason, you talked to me earlier about something that you've noticed over by the plaza regarding the water.
Yes, Mayor. One of the big things that's happening in this last rain, we did have to close down that inside lane as far as on the east side, right there in front of Handles. The window for that catch basin has been closed so much from the last paving, and it's also, the flow is actually a negative flow towards the basin, so it's holding water out. We definitely have to fix that. We've contacted the state to have them address it. They are in controlled pavement. We're not sure how they're going to handle that. If they don't, then we're going to do that within the department and see, once we get that open, how much that changes things. But it definitely is a significant problem with that window of the catch basin being so shallow. It's probably half of what it should be. So we'll get that done, and hopefully it makes a big enough difference that we may not have the issue that we do think. You always, the more rain we keep adding as far as development and things into the systems, it definitely, but we have to fix that before we move forward, and then we can take and make a better assessment of what needs to be done.
Yeah, I was very pleased to hear that. We were talking some big numbers. So, yeah. Okay, moving on.
Excuse me, I do have a question for
Yes.
that. Since the air seems to be on the state because of the paving, would we still eat the cost if they're not coming back to take care of this? It's budget,
Yeah, like Jason said, they are legally responsible for the pavement, but, how they assess the situation, whether they think it's as serious as we think it is up to question, and when they schedule it, and so we can address it with them and push the issue, but.
Thank you.
Your microphone was working that time. All right, so moving on, health and welfare, Mrs. Noack.
No report, Mayor.
Wages and working conditions, Mr. Voitush.
No report, Mayor.
Fire and safety, Mrs. Domzalski.
No report this evening.
Buildings and grounds, Mr. Hips.
No report this evening.
Legislation, Brad.
Thank you, Mayor. First, we have ordinance 2017-65, an emergency ordinance amending section 660.17 and 660.18 of the codified ordinances relating to weed and grass control on second reading this evening. It's my recommendation that we do some further review on this ordinance and put it on third reading next meeting. We need to flesh out a little bit more the definition of noxious weeds and decide whether we want to make any exception for any natural conditions or wildflowers.
I would suggest that we put that in a work session along with a public work session along with the chief position.
Can we also, I know that I brought this up before, when we have our next work session, because we are coming up to unfortunately snow time, where I want to get that, the
Senior
yeah,
snowplow.
thank
No.
you, taken care of.
Yeah, we can't. We can't.
Thank you.
Are you denying that it's going to snow this year?
I don't want it to snow. And Jason seconds that. Mr. President, what do we want to do here?
We can do it as soon as next Wednesday on the 30th. We can have a work session for the chief and before the third reading comes on for the weed control. I'd like to have it a little bit later if that's okay. My work schedule is winding down, but I'm still not getting home till 7 o'clock in the evening. Can we do that at 7:30? Is that fine with the council? Mayor?
It's fine with me?
So is it 7 or 7:30?
7 o'clock?
Okay, include that snow plowing
You
also,
wanted to make it a
please.
little bit later and we're going earlier.
Do 7:30?
It's been uncontrollable, the hours. I've been rolling in about 7:15, so I can leave a little bit earlier, I think. I'll make it for 7 o'clock. I don't want to hold everybody up too late. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion for this work session. We're going to need some time. So I'd like to make that at 7 o'clock if it's fine with council.
Does that work for everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Bryan, will you be attending?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right, work session next Wednesday, August 30th.
do we
at
need-
7 o'clock.
Will we need John at that work session?
Will we need Jason also if we're gonna do the snow plowing?
I would say yes. He should be involved in that.
The 30th.
Okay. Next is Resolution 2017-66, an emergency resolution directing the certification of delinquent sewer maintenance bills to the county fiscal officer for placement on the tax duplicate on first reading. I would recommend that council approve this evening. We need to get these to the county fiscal officer by the deadline,
to
which is
suspend
toward
the
the beginning of
three-reading rule.
September.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hips to suspend the three reading rules, seconded by Ms. Noack. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Is there a motion to pass?
Move for passage.
Motion to pass by Mr. Hips, seconded by Ms. Noack. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of approval?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Okay. Resolution is passed. And last, we have Resolution 2017-67, an emergency resolution directing the certification of delinquent grass, weed cutting, and property cleanup bills to the county fiscal officer for placement on the tax duplicate. Is there a motion to suspend the three reading rule?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Hips, seconded by Ms. Noack. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass?
Second?
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Magistrelli. Any discussion? All in favor of passage?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? Okay, the resolution is adopted, and that is all for the legislation this evening, Mayor.
At this time, is there any old business, new business, or announcements?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Noack.
One thing I'd like to bring out from when we had our Recreation Board committee meeting is on November 12th. We are planning on having a visitation. We're going to open it up for our veterans to come between 6 and 8 o'clock here to the town hall so that they can just share their experiences or just to visit with each other and for our village to show how much we appreciate them. And then we were planning on taking a picture afterwards so we could hang it up here at the town hall. That will be from 6 to 8 on November 12th. It's a Sunday.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything? Okay. Do I hear adjournment?
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second?
Motion to adjourn made by Ms. Domzalski, seconded by Mr. Vojtish. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed? We are adjourned at 8:02.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.